Hey guys, welcome back to a new Parkitect tutorial build. In today's build I'm going to show you how to build one of my customized wagons that I've built in the past. Well, these two are built in the past, the supply wagon and then the stagecoach. But recently I just designed and built a covered wagon for my diorama build challenge from Coaster Bee, and I wanted to just show you a little bit of how to build the covered wagon part. And I'll show you all the pieces. Let's get on over to build it. So here are all the pieces that are involved into making this structure or this prop. So this video might be a little longer than usual, so we'll take it slowly. So actually, where do we start? We're going to start with wheels, the axle, and then we'll build onto that, and then you'll see how I get all to the the props of this basically. So the shapes for the tent part are here, the sizes. So this is size 1 for this one, and then size 70 for like the porthole part of the tent or the cover, and then 0.95 would be our ruffles on the cloth part. Well, let's start off with my wheels first. So usually the wheels should start on, what is it, 5? Yes, 5. Grid 5. So the wheels, the wagon wheels from the game actually have like an indent. You can see how as I'm turning the wheel around, it's not perfectly centered on the little square. So it actually goes, it's more like it's indent. So you can figure out which side of the wheel you want to be popping out. So this is like backwards, not backwards, more inlet. So I'm going to build them like this. And this is usually the size of my wagon, is this size, so 2 blocks. I don't go any bigger than 3 grid sizes. It's only 2 because it's easier. And that's onto the axle. Now the axle you can't see it after the build, but I put it in to give myself a guideline. And so I usually go down to, actually it's not 8, it's 6. 6 is a little bit easier to deal with. I just place it right here to give myself an idea of where the axle is going to go. And then give myself a center axle. Oops, let's go like that. And lower about there, and then we have ourselves an axle kind of showing us where the wagon should sit. There is a new technique that I designed, or using this time, I'm using the window pieces as my walls of the wagon. So I'm going to double check what height it is. That's why I have the prop over here. So yeah, 3.6. And I did it at 8. Yes, 8. And I went up against the wheel. Yeah, up against the wheel, and just made a circle around the circumference of the perimeter of the wagon's basic trough or something like that. You want to call it a trough or whatever you want to call it. So it gives me this thin border. I like that it's thin, and I don't have to use, I don't know, big square blocks or anything else. That's kind of the idea of what I go for. Now after that, I'm going to give myself some border alignment with the border pieces. I'm going to check what type they're at. Yep, 3.8. Cool. So go to grid 8 and then just kind of like cap them off to give it more of a realism look. Kind of separates the tent part to, well, the cloth part and the wooden wagon part. And then here's some of the borders on the side to give it that. And then what else should we go next? We'll do some of the wooden boarding. So I'm not going to put anything here. Actually, no, I do put something there because no, I don't need to. So I don't put anything here. So that's just going to be empty. But I do want to put this down for this. So this is like the little ledges that you see that are holding the props and junk. So I'm going to do 2 of them here, and then do a different colored one for the front here. The front here is going to be for your seat where your driver sits. So it's going to sit about right here. And then I did another window, and this one's kind of free-forming guesswork. I'm going to put it down to give it that backboard look. It's going to take a little time to, there we go, that's good. There you go, you have ourselves a little seat. It's actually a little higher than that one, which is fine. I'm just kind of guessing. Actually, I don't want to redo it. There we go. Now let's go on to do. Actually, I need to build a backboard also in the back here, just for those props in the back. And then we'll get on to doing the cloth part, or the tent. So the tent was a little difficult, but not as difficult as usual, but I usually take the big one cylinder side piece at 1, put it at 2 grid, and it's going to sit exactly here at 4.15. So it's going to sit exactly in the center because this takes up most of my space. I don't have to use so many pieces basically to, I don't know, overwhelm the system, because using so many pieces already bogs down the system. So it's kind of the idea not to do that. I'm just going to fill in spaces. So the number 1 piece are going to be my ends that are going to flinge up, because the covered wagon kind of like bows and boops up. So I'm going to do that here too. And I think I do it at grid 8 to give it that look first. And I'm going to do one side like this. Let's double check actually. That's why I have this over here. Yep, 4 point. Okay. So it's going to go like this. The next one's going to go up a little bit more, and the next one's going to go up like that. So it's going to go up like little notches here and there. But there's also, you'll see as it finishes up, we're going to fill in these gaps too. But when we get to the other side, you want to flip it around, because the shapes for the cylinders that are like these half shapes are not centered in the grid. So you kind of have to mess around with them. So we're going to place this about here, there, 1 there. Go back 1, go back up 1. There we go. We got ourselves the little hoop part. And then now we need to fill in the gap by doing the flip around. It's still on grid 8. And we're going to push these down a little bit. So this is the little bit more complicated part, building the cover wagon's cloth, or the cover. But then it fills it in and it actually looks okay. And then for the center, I just took the 0.95 one and put it in the center as my like middle ruffle. And I want to make sure these connect in the center like this. You can see how they connect. It actually looks pretty nice. They look like ruffles. But as we're not done yet, we need to do down to the porthole part, or the part where it's the inside, because it's all cylinders and shapes. There's no like, I don't know, you can't see through it. But again, with this game, you don't really need to. So this is just really placed. You kind of have to eyeball it in the center, and then you kind of do the same thing on the other side. While designing this one, I wanted to add like props to give it that, I don't know, like chunks coming out of it. So we're just gonna plop them down any which way. It really doesn't matter how you do it, but it looks cool when it just sits in there. Actually, I want this one. The barrels, there's a point for them that you can't lift them up by doing the shift key, so they sit on anything that's elevated. So if I place this here and then place it right here, it elevates up. See how it just kind of follows the terrain? So that's why I made the ledges for where the barrels are going to go on the side of the wagon. And I just kind of made props just kind of stacked on top of each other. You can do whatever which way, change it up a bit. I even put more boxes on the other side of the wagon over here. Nothing crazy. I even combined these 2 boxes to make it look like a bigger box. And we're almost there. Oh, I forgot to do the wagon connection part for the horses, or the oxes. Oops. See, I knew I was going to forget something. That's okay. It's just a minor little detail, but it's a detail that's good to have. And then the last thing is kind of tricky. I use these train track pieces from the Western set. I just wanted to add some like wooden flanges or something, like wooden parts. And so I just kind of did this underneath the ledge part that's holding the supplies. And I just kind of placed it underneath to give it that different wood look. I was originally, when I was designing, I was going to do like this piece, but it felt like it was too big, so I skipped it. And then we're going to do a lamp to give it some dynamics to it at night. And then last but not least, the little dirt mounds, or the burial grounds from the Haunted set. I like them the most because they really represent like dirt. So like if you're really ambitious, you can just place a whole bunch behind. make it look like dirt or something. I don't know. I like them the best. They're my favorite. They also do the same thing like with the barrels. They don't lift. Actually, no, they're worse than barrels. They only lift because of terrain, nothing else. They don't lift because of scenery. So you kind of have to use them sparingly. That's why I use them only for scenery stuff. So this is the completed covered wagon. I hope this little tutorial helps out in your future builds, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.